So that's kind of what I do on the show here a lot of times is talk to people that know more than me about stuff that I find interesting. Particularly, I love to speculate and think about the future and stuff that could happen or might happen. It's just for some reason a really comfortable place for my mind to be. And the other component of it being healthcare and medical stuff, that's something that I almost know nothing really about, the healthcare system. And so the fact that you're doing development in video games and have thoughts about future applications of video games and technology with medicine seems great, because I avoid thinking about and even reading about and studying healthcare a lot of times because it seems so red tapey and stuck and fixed and problematic that it just seems like something to avoid. So I'm really curious, just to start out, tell me about why you're in medicine, and if you are actually optimistic that we could do a lot better with our medical and healthcare system.
So, Matt, I'm a physician. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
pulmonary critical care physician. I've been for the last 10 years, a decade. Medicine is an awesome area to be in. You get to help people. I mean, that's what we all are here for. And I'm very optimistic about healthcare. I mean, I got to tell you, I know we read a lot of negativity about healthcare and how there's a lot of red tape,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also where all the solutions can be found. If you have the ability and the desire to fix it, you can. A lot of changes are happening right now. I mean, just recently, CVS bought Aetna.
I saw that.
Aetna is an insurance company, and CVS is now getting into the healthcare field
Mm-hmm.
with its primary care medicine. Now, those two giants combining, is going to change the entire
Really?
landscape for healthcare.
Well, see, that's a good place to start right here, because I saw that headline. My wife said, she said CVS bought Aetna for like 59 billion. I don't know what the number was, some amount of $1 billion like that. And she looked at me, and I was like, what do you want me to say? Is that good or bad? I don't even know. Like, is that supposed to be a bad thing that they're buying them up, or is it the way you're saying it now sounds like it's a good thing. It's going to open up new possibilities or something.
What it does is CVS is looking at preventative measures. How
Mm-hmm.
can we help the patient before they actually get sick?
Mm-hmm.
As a pulmonary critical care doc, I see patients when they're really, really sick.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get their blood pressure under control? Can we get their diabetes under control? Can we get their cholesterol under control? Even before they end up with a heart attack, where congestive heart failure. And the hope is we start that by primary prevention. That's what CVS is saying. CVS is saying, look, if I partner with this insurance company, Aetna, or buy it up, what we can do is we can get these patients in, and any corner, any street, there's a CVS. You can go and you can be seen, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a doc, whatever. And so a lot of focus is going into us primary care prevention. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not only Aetna, it's not only CVS, Aetna. You're talking about Amazon's getting into the space, Apple's getting into the space. A lot of big companies are starting to get into the space. They see that there's a lot of opportunity for growth and improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually push back and tell you that it's not as depressing as everybody describes.
Good.
It's going to change the healthcare atmosphere. Sure, absolutely, but it's not a depressing. We're trying to make it better. Everyone's trying to see how can we help
Mm-hmm.
improve healthcare for everyone.
Well,
How can we provide?
you say everybody, but I don't know that that's everybody's motive. I think there's plenty of people whose motive may just be profit, or politicians whose motive is just to retain their, offices and things like that. But so what you're pitching here, what you're saying there is that CVS and Apple and Amazon get into these things are, instead of I don't let me put words in your mouth, but you're talking about technological solutions versus insurance and government run things to make it better. Do you have an opinion about that? Am I on the right?
One more time. Let's try that again. What's the question?
I'm saying is you're optimistic, but it sounds like because of technological solutions and other things like CVS, Amazon, people like that getting into it, as opposed to the governments and the insurance companies and that kind of stuff. Do you see those parts of it as a problem, or do you think even in those, do you see the government as a helpful thing? I mean, are you more into, gosh, I'm botching my words here, but I'm saying some people are more into the free market and the capitalistic and the technology solutions and that kind of thing versus more legislation and getting better political stances and mandated health care and these kinds of things.
Yeah, before getting into all that detail, what I tell you is that everybody has to participate. The government has,
Mm-hmm.
its role is to help everyone get insurance, to help the entire, all the people, United States people or people of America have health care.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a right or a privilege, I don't know I don't know. But what I do know is when you're sick, you need someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we gotta figure out solutions together. Whether it's free market,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's government, governments can't red tape too much so that the free markets can't survive. The free markets need to learn competition is a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I truly believe in competition. At the same time, there are some rules and boundaries that the government could create for everyone so that we provide the best care we can. Otherwise, there's always, like you were saying, some of us are not in it for the best interest of the patient. We're
Right.
in it for ourselves. Those are the areas where the government can help regulate a few of the rules.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I truly believe the free markets can make it happen. I mean, when we're talking technology, we're talking about now even virtual telemedicine, telehealth, which
Mm-hmm.
is essentially what we're doing right now. We're talking over camera. Very similarly, we can now a patient could easily be seen by his doc or his nurse or his health physical therapist.
Absolutely. I
Hey,
mean,
you're doing it right. Are you doing it wrong? Are you doing it correctly? Are you taking your medicines? All those kind of things can be done very easily now. So technology has a huge role in improving healthcare. It
mm-hmm.
really does.
I think I've been reading some books about artificial intelligence and stuff like that, and it seems to me that there will be machine type diagnostics and things that will be very effective, in the near future, where you'll be interfacing with computers and machines that may then kick you to a doctor only if necessary.
That's definitely a possibility. The possibilities are endless. Right now, where they are with artificial intelligence or machine learning,
Mm-hmm.
is what they're trying to figure. What we are trying to figure out is what patient is most likely going to come to the hospital, or is most likely going to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Can we meet them before they get sick? What demographic can we look at? And I can tell you right now, working with a large healthcare corporation, that's one of the things we're looking at. How can we make sure that the patient is taken care of not only when they come to the hospital, but when they're out in their communities? Can they see their their kidney doctor or their heart doctor or their primary care doctor? What's missing, and why are they coming back in? So a lot of what you're describing, artificial intelligence, the early part of it is just machine learning, trying
Mm-hmm.
to learn what's going on with the population. Can we start looking at that first? And then later on, you're right, we'll start building on other things. But I think that's where we are in this phase right now, is collecting that data and then analyzing that data and trying to
Yes.
see how we can keep them out.
So with the data, it's the kind of thing where, do you think it'll also be a thing where it empowers? Do we need to empower the individual to understand their health care more, or is it the kind of thing where, I've heard a lot of physicians complain about stuff where people just Google or WebMD stuff and think, well, there's the information, I don't need the doctor. But is it also better to empower people and give them sensors and have them be able to read their own levels of glucose and be able to check things and have more, everything starting from Fitbit to internal glucose monitors, stuff like that? Is that going to be a step of it? Is having the person be able to do, like, manage their, because when people say preventative health care, a lot of times what I think that it sounds like to me now is like, exercise and diet and education. But you're saying, is there more hands-on type ways to be empowered about your own medical
Absolutely.
situation?
Medicine's changed a lot, but at the same time, it's still docs. I think even the past and today look. This is a partnership. We're working towards keeping you healthy. It's in your best interest and it's in my best interest. I want to see you healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I went into this profession. So if I can give you the tools that you need, so you can keep yourself healthy, and I don't mean just diet and exercise. I mean, that's simple. Everybody knows if you diet and you exercise, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna look better,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna hopefully avoid a lot of the conditions. But what does diet mean? What does exercise mean? What do those things actually mean?
Right.
And I think those are roles where I don't think you can replace. You cannot replace the doc or the nurse or the physical therapist or occupational therapist. or respiratory therapists, but they can help. It can be a partnership. It's more a partnership now than it's an authoritarian kind of view.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of, you're talking about Googling your diagnosis. Go ahead. Googling a diagnosis is not an issue, but you miss a lot. There's a lot of space that's missed in between when you're reading an article. You don't consider you get honed in on a diagnosis, which may not exactly be a diagnosis, may
Mm-hmm.
not exactly be a case, and that's where the specialists or the physicians or the nurse practitioners expertise comes in to
Mm-hmm.
guide your care, not just a population, just a general article. It really does. It doesn't do too much. It doesn't. It's not favorable just to look at that article and not consult with someone who actually understands it and can relate it to you.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yeah, so that's it's like the experience of the doctor and stuff is obviously the really valuable part, and it feels like sometimes in medical care you get further and further away from the doctor. And that's why I think it's exciting to talk about telepresence and stuff like that because it should be a less friction way to have access to somebody and then have the expertise and that personal touch and the bedside manner stuff is so important that it'd be great if we could take out a lot of the structure and the of those things to have a more efficient way of that. And something else is interesting. We just had our second kid, a year ago, and I remember sitting in there during the ultrasound, looking at that stuff, and thinking, this machine looks super old to me. Like now, I mean, at one point, ultrasounds would have seemed futuristic, kind of, even not that long ago, but it looked like an outdated machine, and I could not help but sit there and think whoever the lady running was fine. She wasn't bad or anything, but she was not a highly trained person. She was just she couldn't answer any of my questions because I always ask a lot of questions when I'm interested in something, but they don't like that when they're trying to make the measurements and stuff in the ultrasound. And I don't think she knew a lot of the answers to what I was asking anyway. I just couldn't resist the thought of, my goodness, there's got to be almost a phone attachment that would do everything she's doing right now. It just seems
you
like
are
obvious to
you're
me.
absolutely you're absolutely right, Matt. Healthcare is behind. We're behind. It's a sector that's behind in technology than other industries, no doubt about it. And that's the exciting part. That's why I'm in it. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
technology. I'm looking at games. I'm looking at different software because we all recognize that we are behind as an industry, and we can bring a lot of technologies from other industries to advance healthcare forward. There's no doubt about it. Nobody argues with that case. May improve healthcare with that. Like you said, the ultrasound. That's just one example of how antiquated we are. There's a dime a dozen examples. Just writing our notes. We're writing our notes, but and we're now using electronic medical records to keep notes so that patients can see it, docs can see it, other hospitals can see it. But have we actually allowed it across the entire country yet? No, there's a lot of what you call red tape
Mm-hmm.
still there that's not allowing our communication to occur.
So do you
So a
think the
lot of
system
times,
is?
sometimes,
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
go ahead, go ahead, go
Do you,
ahead.
do you think it's the system and red tape that are inhibiting stuff, and that's why it's antiquated and behind, or do we just it's just a matter of time before technology will solve some of these problems?
Technology is going to solve a lot of a lot of issues. Right now, technology has a lot of promise. That doesn't mean that it's there yet. What has changed is it's just not the encounter. It's not just that I saw you, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
as my patient, and that's it. My duty is done after I've had the visit with you. It's more than that. Now I want to make sure that, hey, you follow through with what you need to do. You quit smoking. I set you up to quit smoking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, hey, I told you to quit smoking and that's it. My job is done. I washed myself. And a lot of our focus is now becoming healthcare is population health.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of this technology, that's how technology is going to end up helping us. Uh, Able to collaborate with other parts of the industry to work together.
So
That's what
I'm
we're
going
doing.
to call what you just said there, and there may be terminology for this, but I'm going to understand that to myself as what that almost sounds like what I would call relational medicine versus transactional medicine. Then, like you're going to be, you have a relationship and an ecosystem of your health as a
Absolutely.
permanent, ongoing that thing, management system of your life.
Absolutely. And that's where the government's coming in. The government's saying, look, it's not enough for us to for you to do transactions anymore. I want you to be better than that. I want you to make sure that working in partnership with all of the players and the patient, we have an understanding of improving that person's lifestyle, their health care. That's where the government's role comes in.
Okay.
It's set a general guideline so that everybody's following that.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, we didn't have that. Prior to that, it was transaction.
Well, how do video games fit into all the stuff we're discussing here? Is why I'm really interested, and I don't understand how that fits in, but I'm excited.
And that's it. It's a puzzle. There's so many parts of healthcare that are puzzling. We don't have all the solutions. None of us have a solution. And video games, everybody loves video games. There's no doubt about. I played video games when I was a child. I still continue to play it. Not as much as I used to as a child, but I can tell you that it has affected my life in some shape or form. And what I realize is that, and I am very confident, is video games can help solve some of these puzzles. Where video games have shown a benefit or value in the past, a lot of the things that we use, a lot of the scopes, whether it's a colonoscopy or it's a bronchoscopy, a lot of the mechanics, the hand mechanics, people who play video games have a definite advantage over
interesting.
People who
yeah.
Then that's
you just mean with the just in the simple act of using the interface.
Yeah, fine motor skills.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And even surgery is starting to move. Surgeons now are using robotic surgery. So now they're just, instead of actually opening up the belly, just making 2 or 3 incisions and using trocars. And on the side, they're actually controlling the robot to do the actual surgery. Those kinds of I can eat those skills can be learned a lot easier, a lot quicker, a lot earlier in life. I believe video games has already created an area or a space for that already. But there's even more where I believe video games can go. Video games can help you actually understand your disease process, your medical condition. If we can figure out how we could be a little bit more smarter, intelligent, how we can make it more exciting for them to learn. Finally, you ask me, should the patient be a part of the team? Absolutely. They need to be a part of their team. They need to understand their disease condition. They need to understand what they're dealing with, but in terminology and in a format that they understand. Video games can be that medium. I strongly believe that.
I think I agree with you. And the thing that's most interesting to me about video games is they kind of, man, let's see if I can articulate this. I believe strongly that learning and a lot of what we'll do in the future will be effortless in the way that video games are kind of effortless. So we do them for entertainment, but there's outcomes that are can be real. So we play video games because they're fun, but there are outcomes like fine motor skills, and you learn to challenges, and anything can be programmed into a video game to learn. And so, but if you think of it the other way, and people get good at video games really easily because it's just entertainment to them. And so the more stuff you can package in that type of engaged learning is 1,000 times better than sitting in a class and having somebody lecture or reading a book. It's so passive. And it's like, even video games themselves, like if you took a 70-year-old man or just somebody who'd never played video games and told them you have to learn how to use this controller, like a Xbox controller, and you got to read a textbook about it and learn left goes this way and this button pushes that, even just to learn that interface and be proficient in that, if you had to do that without playing a game, if somebody just told you learn these fine motor skills with this controller, you would never do it. It wouldn't be fun. You would just give up. You would quit. You'd say, you would be half proficient. But if you put that controller in somebody's hand, give them no instructions, and say, try to get to the next level of this video game, they will become proficient, increase their fine motor skills, and learn whatever the game teaches them. Is that the idea?
Learning can be fun.
Yes.
It definitely can be fun. Doesn't have to be a textbook. Everybody learns from different types of mediums. I've learned through textbooks because that's how I was taught. I mean, that's all we had. But I'm telling you, video games has the ability to actually make learning a lot of fun. We're looking at things like, okay, Alzheimer's patients. Alzheimer's has become one of the leading causes of deaths in this country now, as we're getting cardiovascular disease under control.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to see, can we use puzzles to improve cognition? Can we do that for Alzheimer's patients? Can we do that? It's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to
There's
that,
been
but I can
people
tell
doing
you.
stuff like that. Like there's been games on stuff that are supposed to help your stuff, and people say even doing Sudoku. Are you aware of any of is the date on that? The more you do those puzzles, is that actually been shown to be helpful
So
in Alzheimer's?
I think it's very preliminary, and there are very small studies out there with these. There are definite claims that are made. I don't think there are large cross-sectional studies, so I don't want to tell you that yes, 100% of that works.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we are doing is we're combined. We are lead Dr. Games is is actually on campus at the University of South Florida campus,
Mm-hmm.
and there are two hospitals. There's Moffitt Cancer, and there's a Shriners Hospital. Shriners Hospitals are for children with all kinds of cancers, all kind of defects, come from all across the world. Moffitt Cancer is also tied up with the VA hospital here. What it allows us is to actually test our games with them. So now we're looking at how can we build stuff that we can see firsthand if it actually improves their care,
Mm-hmm.
their understanding of their disease process and their care. And I am very confident, I truly believe this, optimistic, that video games is definitely a medium that's going to change healthcare. It's just it's very early in its stages. I think I'm really excited about the video game market, how it's growing, and
Mm-hmm.
how many people are actually trying to do good for them, trying to improve life for others via video games.
Yeah,
Uh,
it doesn't sound like
it's
even
a
a slight stretch to me, but is there a stigma attached to it where people are like, what are you talking about video games? That's for kids. I mean, do you have that? Because to me, I am tracking 100% when I think it's obvious to me that there could be interfaces that could do everything from child development to disease management. And I can totally visualize that stuff. And if it doesn't work now, it's just a matter of time before we figure it out.
it's a matter of time.
But is it
Is there
stigmatized to some people when you go, hey man, I know I'm a doctor, but I'm really into video games. Let's get some funding together and let's go make some rad games, dude. Do people think of you that way sometimes?
Yeah, it's a different. When you're in the healthcare world, we're very straight left brainers. We're a bunch of left
Mm-hmm.
brainers in medicine. At the same time, we also recognize that there's something missing. There's a knowledge gap missing. The healthcare is not where it needs to be. We all recognize that. Then video gamers are very right brainers. I mean, they're looking at things. You have to be creative. You have to think outside the box. That's the beauty of video games. Each game is different and unique in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
And just bringing those two together, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And I'll tell you, those left brainers, right? They're willing to listen to the right brainers. I don't have any issues with it. I mean, any problems explaining it to those guys, and they actually understand it. Can they actually visualize it? Not yet. They can't visualize it until you start to show them. Some people need to actually see it in hand.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think our listeners may be some of those people. So let's see if is there any. Could you give me any tangible examples of a type of game or a game y'all are developing or stuff you've tried so far?
Okay, so we actually started developing a video game about a year and a half ago. That's when we started this journey. And when we initially started, we were creating. I was asking my developers to create these games scratch. Hey, let's create the emergency department scene or the room. How can we make it better for everyone? How can we make it more efficient, more proficient? We hit a lot of roadblocks, and the reason I hit roadblocks is because my developers don't know the inside of an emergency department. They
Yeah,
don't
because
know
these are computer programmer people. They're not medical people, right?
correct.
Yeah.
And so I said to them, you know what? Let's do this. Let's prove that we can develop a great game first. Let's just do that. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to say,
It's hard enough.
can we develop a great game? Yeah, because if you can't do that, how are you going to get someone excited about healthcare
Mm-hmm.
and teach them and educate them? So we created I'm really excited about this. It's Crystals and Curses. It's a puzzle game. It will help with cognition, but I can't prove it to you right now. I haven't actually demonstrated in randomized
Mm-hmm.
trials yet, so I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you, Crystals and Curses is a puzzle game. It's got 7 worlds. phenomenal art, phenomenal music. I mean, the game itself, I'm really proud of. We actually got accepted to PAX Rising.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the video game
Yeah,
conference PAX.
PAX is a big video game. I just learned about PAX
Mhm.
themselves. My gamers all know about it, but that's our start, our first step into the video games to say that hey, we are there, we are present, we can do this, we can have an impact. And as soon as we get this, now we're gonna start to look at how can we improve cognition, but instead of not only improve cognition, but how can we now start to tailor it towards healthcare? That's where we're going. Right now, we're at the point of just proving concept. We can develop an awesome game. That's our number one um, objective right now. Our number two objective is going to be how can we improve people's lives once we know how to make games.
Yeah. So it seems like
That's
the
what.
barrier here is one that's kind of common in other industries too, and that is the top talent is going to go where that are the game developers and the artists and the people that do the developing of the the music and the creative stuff are probably going to go where the money is best. So how will is there a funding issue? How can you get some of the best talent to make some of the best games? Where does that money come from? How does the money work in that situation versus whoever's making Grand Theft Auto and Madden 2019 has got plenty of money to pay the top developer talent?
Sure. I mean, you could tell me that it's a big challenge to pay the top developers, but I tell you that at Leap Doctor Games, everyone has to be passionate. Number one, they have to be very passionate about what they're doing. And number two, we're trying to help people. We're trying to improve people's lives. That's my two very fundamental blocks for hiring anybody. And I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you that the guys I have and the girls I have are second to none. I mean, these guys are
Mm-hmm.
top. I don't think I can find a better developer or better talent. Could I possibly lose a talent? Maybe. But I always tell them that if you're really that good and you're really that passionate, you're really out there to help someone, we will succeed. There, there is nothing to be fearful of. I mean, yes, it's great to see a big name, Madden or Nintendo or whoever else, but you, as an individual, can make a difference in another person's lives. And I've seen it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And the developers are developers. I mean, my promotion guy, my advertisers, my videographer, all of them are very passionate about helping others. That's number one. And then their skill set matches that passion. Uh, I'm not afraid of the talent. That we have the talent that we need. There's no better talent.
And are you guys a private? Leap Doctor's a private company, I guess. Do you have? But is there things that are nonprofits or grants or anything like that in the stuff you do?
So we are working on a grant. We're working actually on two interesting grants. We are a private company, absolutely, but you can also apply for grants. And we are actually partnering with the university with some of the grants. One of the grants is going to be for students, STEM students, people who want to go into
Mm-hmm.
the healthcare field, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. How can we get the underprivileged kids excited about those subjects? How can video games help them learn better? And so there's a grant out there that we're focused on and trying to get so that we can prove, and it's what this game does, prove one, that we're in the right space, but two, how we can help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of our grants. And the other one is actually talking about Alzheimer's patients. We're looking at a grant for Alzheimer's patients and how can music help, as well as for that matter, video games, with an angle of the video games. How can it help Alzheimer's patients slow the progression of their memory loss? So those are the two grants we're currently working on. So
Let's stop. Let's jump in there because music. I'm a musician by trade before podcasting even, um, and I like thinking about the brain too. So let's just pause there and talk about Alzheimer's. Like you said, I didn't realize that, but that makes sense that Alzheimer's is going to become more and more of a prominent issue as we push back and push off cancer and cardiac disease and stuff like that. I don't know if cardiac. What's the word? Cardiac disease isn't the word. What is it?
heart disease is fine. You're fine with cardiac disease.
Um, but what is the early thinking there on what is the impact in relation to music, the brain, and Alzheimer's?
So we have so forgive me. This is not my expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Music is not my expertise. As much as I love music,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't sing a note.
Yeah.
If you ask me to. What I do have the right people who are musicians. I just hired actually one guy who just recently he's always loved music. That's his focus now. He's working on crystalline curses, making sure that all the music sounds are unique and it has its own tone to it. But he is going to look at it and sit down with the team and say, look, this is the angle we need to take, and we haven't even formalized how we're going to present ourselves for that grant. It's not out. It's out preliminary, but it hasn't opened up accepting proposals. It's too early for me to give you, hey, this is how we're going to use music to help
Mm-hmm.
with Alzheimer's patients. I wish I could give you a better answer, but it's not a conversation for today. Not yet.
Well, not as it pertains to the game, but you know, and I've heard some people saying this before. Like for instance, you'll have people that are in nursing homes and they'll be just sitting there, just almost unconscious, and then somebody will play a song from the '50s when they were young, and then they come alive and sing the words, and they haven't spoken in weeks, stuff like that. At least, I mean, I've heard anecdotal stories
Absolutely.
of that. I don't know if you have any more thoughts on
Oh,
that, but
absolutely. I mean, in the intensive care unit, we have musicians that come, and there's nothing more relaxing than hearing the music.
mm-hmm.
Now, we don't have EEGs set up, connected, doing a research study on them, but I can tell you that a lot of it's very soothing for the patients who remember the melodies of the when they were kids. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you firsthand. I can. It's anecdotal though. It's not a research
Sure.
based. I mean, it's all. This is all anecdotal.
Yeah. Well, you know, I read a book on music and the brain one time, and it had this notion in it that basically why music is so satisfying and why, and I have the, didn't read this. This is my opinion. I actually believe that there is nobody on earth that doesn't like music, which is a really weird thing. Like I think you find the most bitter old man in the world who, if you ask him what are the things you like or care about, even if you ask him, do you like music, he'd probably say no, and then you'd catch that guy whistling in the shower. I guarantee it. Like there's nobody that doesn't connect with and identify. It's basically an innate thing in our brain. But the book I read talks about how it. I wish I could remember. This is Your Brain on Music. Might have been the name of the book, but it talks about how the music involves so many different areas of the brain at the same time, and it's the neurons fire together, wired together, and stuff like that. So it's deep in your limbic system with the rhythm, and then the melody, the top end of the melody you're trying to follow with your prefrontal cortex, something like that. And so it engages all these things. I think it's similar to if you chew gum when you study and you chew the same flavor gum, those neurons, you have a double effect of how they may reconfigure or something like that. So it's obvious to me that there's plenty to study and learn and develop there, which is kind of exciting for somebody that likes music anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. I can't tell you that there's anyone that I know that doesn't like music.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
And so that just overlaps to me with it just seems like we've been in this archaic way of looking at things for so long that it's like, I think the best way to improve people, engage people, educate people will also in the future be entertaining and fulfilling to them. I think that's probably the thing we're headed to. Like music's good for you. Oh yeah, it's also fun. It's just like your body tells you things that you need and are good for you. You need nutrition. You'll crave a certain nutrients if you don't get them, and you'll be hungry for them or thirsty. I think music's the same way. Entertainment has to have some function. It must. I mean, everybody knows you learn the most when you're engaged and entertained, and there's got to be,
Absolutely.
this is it's interesting to hear you say it in such a preliminary way, which I actually kind of really like, because it's just saying we know these are the things on the table and we don't know how they'll be solved yet, but do you have any time horizons of how long term of thinking this is? Like how long is there any time horizons on anything for you, or you just know that it's worth doing for now, and then you don't know if it'll be decades before we've got stuff worked out, or if it'll be soon, or what?
So there was a time in my life, Matt. You're quite considerably younger than me, and way back when I was young, I used to think, "Hey, man, I have to get to this at this time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have. This is where I'm. This is where I'm gonna get here. This is what I'm gonna do." And then you learn later on in life, especially when you have 3 kids. I got 3 kids. Everything takes it. It happens on its own. You just keep doing what's right and what you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
and it will happen. It will occur. Now, I don't think it's that far away. I really don't believe it's that far away. Not a decade. There's too many bright minds. There's so much. It's so exciting right now. How much talent and how much enthusiasm there is out there to solve issues, solve these kind of problems. I don't think it's going to take a whole decade. I hope not. At the same time, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's okay. Just keep moving forward. Collaborate with
I love
others.
it, man. I know you don't know me, but these are the things that I talk about all the time. I mean, I feel like I've designed for myself the kind of life where I'm going to do what's engaging and what I believe in, and then things will come, and they seem to. And a lot of other people seem way more determined to say, I would like to be on stage and release an out, and have all these really high goals of I want my career to compete with this person. But to me, it's just the process part. I like to talk to people. I like to learn things, explore things. I like to arrange and play music in that moment. And if I focus on that and fully immersed in it, yeah, it turns out I wound up having a career in music or my podcast gets listened to. But I'm not doing it with those. I'm not even doing it really with that much of a goal in mind. It's more about the, you know, just doing it because it is interesting. I think we have another really interesting confluence of things happening right now. A trend I notice is everybody is dissatisfied with their work in general. So it's like everybody's midlife crisis these days is I don't care about what I'm doing, or I'm just working for somebody else. I wish I did something meaningful. And so I think we're going to see if we can enable the right people and get the companies and get the incentives and motivations right, you're going to see all this human potential and talent unlock. I really believe that. I'm right with you on that. If we stack the right people in the right places that have the right passion and care about certain things, we should be able to solve a lot of problems and fulfill people who feel empty working for some dumb company that does whatever. So I think hopefully this works. And then I heard a talk yesterday that adds to the problem, but I hope we'll figure it out, talking about how all the top talent in the world is working for, the Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, and they're just trying to sell advertising, which sucks. But I think we've proven what you can do with a lot of talent and all these things. So, man, we're just to shift those pieces around, shift the incentives, like get past this advertising attentional model of technology and start to get people fulfilled, solving problems together that they're interested in. My goodness, you can't imagine the potential of that.
I'm telling you, man, you're 100% right. Do something. No, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, and you're doing it for the right reasons, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. It really is. And I'll tell you, the guys who are working and the girls who are working for us right now, they're not working for me. They're working to make the world a better place. That's it. That's what they're all working towards. The game that we're coming out is just a small taste of what we can do. I'm really, really proud of it. I mean, these guys, when they show up at PAX Rising, they said January 12th to the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you, they're going to make a big splash. And we're a small company, but just because they did it out of passion and love, everybody will. You can feel it. You can feel that kind of passion when someone's working. And you can't fake that. You just can't fake it. It's not possible.
Well, this is pleasant to talk about, given that a lot of things are pessimistic these days. I mean, a lot of people say doom and gloom, and I fall in and out of that because, I'm a skeptical person and, kind of a scientific-minded skeptical person at heart. But in the long term, I'm right on with you as being optimistic. And then I get back dragged into, like, some really depressing things about humanity and, the current way that things feel. And sometimes I get worried that our species is flawed fundamentally. But it's fun to talk to somebody who can kind of think. I don't know. I don't know that you and I are right. I just know that we think the same way. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if we got the right answers or if it'll unfold the way we hope it does. But
yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, man, you could live in the gloom and doom, but how you're shortening your life and you're not enjoying that life. I mean, why? I think that working together and thinking positive and moving in the right direction, that's what we need. We need people who solve problems.
That's right. And that's what a video game is, right? How do you get to the next level? How do you get past Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
How do you go faster in Mario Kart? Whatever.
Right. I mean, and I'll tell you, life is a lot more pleasant and more enjoyable when you're on the optimistic side. I'm not saying that you're not negative sometimes, but hey, I like to see my cup half full. I want to see my cup half full, not half empty. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it's really about designing your own life. You're going to probably be more likely to solve a problem if you're enjoying the problem you're trying to solve, and not, problems feel to us like negativity or bad things, but you can also look at them as opportunity, I suppose.
Yeah, call it an opportunity, call it a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, everybody likes solving a Sudoku puzzle. Like, it feels good, I guess. I mean, it just feels good I mean, I think our work as humans is really about I really think it is about the process, not the destination. People always say that, but it's kind of, I don't know if people really get that. It really means that, like, on a day-to-day level, being present, solving a problem. I don't know if we have a higher, I don't know if we have a higher purpose, really, than just solving problems that are in front of us. That seems to be the most satisfying thing. I think that's why people like, I don't know. I mean, it explains a lot of things, but it's you kind of. I didn't know this. I wasn't thinking this is how we would talk on this episode, but you've got my brain back into a positive vibe. I had a week last week where I was into a bunch of social media negativity. It was a real bummer, and this is really exciting.
I gotta tell you, the most satisfying thing in life is to help someone out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, and it's priceless. I mean, I can tell you, I take care of people who are dying or close to death, very critically ill, and a thank you, or someone I see in a driveway, in a fast food store, a grocery store, or my mechanic the other day, recognize you and say thank you. That's all. I mean, that's what life's about, helping someone else out. It really is. Once you figure that out, life is going to be so much, you're going to be blessed. You're going to be blessed.
Well, is there any other stuff you'd like to tell people about your company, Leap Doctor, or anything else? I don't know if you're trying to raise awareness or support or anything in any specific arena other than just.
I think the only thing I'd tell you is that, and this my gamers would tell me, is make sure to mention Crystals and Curses. Remember the Crystals and Curses coming out. Release date is actually going to be PAX Rising.
Okay.
And it's a puzzle game. And if you love the game, sign up. Twitter or whatever. Just check it out.
What platform is the game on?
It's gonna be an app, so it's gonna be on the Android, okay. It's gonna be on Apple, and it's also gonna be on Steam as well.
And it's called Crystals and Curses.
Yes. It already has a Facebook following.
Okay.
That's a great place to check it out. But you could see the passion. There's no microtransactions in the actual game itself, and this is our first entry into games. We're excited. We really want to change it. We really want to change. Not only healthcare, but we want to change the video game too. Video game.
This is awesome. Really. So don't download the app and game and expect it to lower your blood pressure or anything, obviously. But it's know that if you participate with this game, you're contributing. Would you say that the people that do play will be contributing data and user feedback toward helping refine and develop what will eventually become more medically pertinent and useful games and stuff like that? Is that the idea? Like, you start with this and get feedback and user data? Or?
I can tell you, if you could solve those puzzles, man, you're a smart guy. It will improve your cognition.
Okay. So it is designed to directly improve cognition, to play the game itself.
Yeah, I can't make it. I can't. You see, if I told you that that's exactly what it does, then I would not be. I would not be talking like a physician or a healthcare.
Yeah, understood. We don't need any claims that
I don't have the research behind it yet.
Yeah, but but to play it will be contributing to that research, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, what I could say. Well, I don't know. We're gonna get the analytics. We're so early on. We're just getting everything together. This is our first time, so we're gonna see as it plays out. What I can tell you is the game is really gonna test you. This is not an easy game. This is something that you'll be really challenged with. And if you're a true gamer and you like puzzles, this is the game for you. I mean, this is one of those games that you'll be like, wow, what it has. People paid attention and did it out of love. You can see the passion just flowing out of that game. That's how beautiful this game is.
Well, I'm excited to do it. I don't play a ton of games, but this one is definitely one that I'll check out. It's Crystals and Curses, and you said it'd be like middle of January it'll be available, but you can find it on Facebook now.
Well, you can actually subscribe, so you can start seeing the pictures and the characters and the worlds, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what if anything that comes out of this, you can see the passion that these guys create, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for talent, passion, and my most important thing is that we're going to help someone out. We're going to make someone's life better. Bottom line.
Great. Well, Ashok, I've enjoyed talking to you today. I'm going to have a better day as a result of just talking to you. So thank you for spending time with me. and we'll catch back up when the game comes out and see how it's going.
Thanks, Matt. Matt, thanks